I want to bring in Barbara Doran, who is standing by for us in New York. She's the Chief Investment Officer at BD8 Capital Partners. Barbara, as I was just speaking with our correspondent there, Courtney Kudlow, says that the White House wants to hold off until May for another stimulus to see how reopening affects the economy. What do you make of that strategy? Can the U.S. afford to wait?
Well, I can see on the one hand why they want to. They want to see the programs take effect. But I think it's a mistake looking at it now, because the real problem here is demand. People are afraid. They're going to spend less. They're going to save more. A lot of jobs will not come back. There will be permanent loss, because even though the unemployment numbers today at 20 plus million, the claims are 33 million. And that doesn't capture a lot of the people who are getting paid less. They're working part-time. They're furloughed. They're not sure if they're getting their jobs back. And I think right now, if you look at the polls, maybe 70+% think they'll get their jobs back. Economists think it'll be more like 40%. And people are afraid. They're not going to be filling a movie theater. There's going to be restrictions on that, on retail, on restaurants. And the U.S. economy is 2/3 service. So I think it's going to be a long time before we get back to where we were. Unemployment by year end, yes, it'll be a lot better than it is now, but it's still going to be very high, much higher than that 3.5% we had in February. So I think that they really they shouldn't wait too much longer, because ordinary Americans need this money.
What impact, Barbara, is this going to have on the timeline for an economic recovery?
Well, I think that the original thinking when all this started was that, they'll slam the economy shut. It'll really be just a couple months. We're going to lick this virus. But, as we know, even though there's really hope that the world's best scientists are working on vaccines and therapeutics. And so, who knows? We've already had remdesivir, which has some use in hospitals, but only once you're there in IV. Something could happen. But in the absence of that, this is not going to be a quick turnaround. And that's where you look at the Paycheck Protection Program, which is really an incentive for smaller businesses to keep their employees on the payroll. The government would pay you back if you didn't let them go. But that's only for 2 months. And the same with the unemployment benefits. That's only a few months. And people after this is a shock. This is just something where people are saying, oh, hey, as soon as I get back, I'm going to spend wildly. Yes, there's a lot of pent-up demand, but I don't know too many people are going to want to pack in a movie theater. Maybe if you're in Idaho, where there hasn't been much, but certainly where most of the population lives, and I'm in New York City, in this kind of density, you're not going to be going back anytime quickly. So I think we are not going to see, a full recovery until well into the end of next year, possibly the year after that. But certainly, third quarter will be a big transition. Fourth quarter will, but we're not.
Barbara, when you look at the fact, sorry to interrupt there. When you look at the fact that nearly $3 trillion has been pumped in such a short amount of time into the U.S. economy, you have states taxing their unemployment systems, you have more happening at the federal level. What is all of this costing the American economy in the long run in terms of the deficit?
That is a really good question, because what you just mentioned are the states and local municipalities. And again, I'm very sensitive to this being in New York, because we are the epicenter and have been and have spending so much. And without any really federal dollars, it's going to be a real problem, because I don't know how you maintain schools, and the police and all the services, because all the money has been going toward this mitigation and the health supplies. So I think that's a real problem. And also, there's a difference between the deficit and the debt. The deficit is really the difference every year, the money it takes in and the money it spends. And, in this last couple of years when we had such a robust economy, usually that's when you close the deficit. Well, we haven't. Now we're exploding the deficit. Estimates are 3.8 trillion to 4 trillion, but, it's going to be up there. And then you have the debt, which is what the government then spends, to close the deficit. And our debt is now, it's going to be the worst to GDP that it's been since World War II. Right now, it looks like it's going to be equal to the entire U.S. economy. Now, if it works and we start to recover, it will come down, because people will start to work, taxes will be collected. But so in the short run, we need to do what we're doing right now. There is no question. We cannot lose any more jobs. We cannot lose our productive capacity. But long run, the government never has to pay back debt, but it does have to pay interest. And as long as rates are low, and they probably will be for some time to come, but interest rates can become a big chunk of the federal budget. So longer term, and if it doesn't come down, it's worrisome.
Barbara Doran, we really appreciate you being with us for that analysis. Thanks for that.